Hello, Premed here, and today I'll be showing you a day in the life of a medical scribe.
So while you watch my morning routine, I'm going to describe to you how I became a medical scribe. The great thing about medical scribing is that it requires no other credential than to be able to type really fast. Typically, the avenues are to apply to Scribe America, Vituity, CDMD, or whichever large scribe company is out there, usually through the company website. I'm going to link some in the description down below. These are usually emergency department scribing jobs, or ED jobs. Another way, and perhaps the more preferred way, is to apply through Indeed to medical scribe jobs. Indeed is where you find a lot more of these outpatient medical scribe jobs, like family medicine, cardiology, or oncology. Outpatient medical scribing typically has better hours and better pay than emergency department scribing, though you might be able to see more jarring things in the emergency department. Outpatient medical scribing also typically will require previous scribe experience, though it is possible to get in without previous scribe experience. From my research and from previous experience, a huge thing that they look for, especially in the ED, is availability. The more open your schedule is, the better. Typing speed is also another important factor, and I believe companies like Scribe America even give you a typing test where you have to reach a certain words per minute, like 40 or 50. Another important factor is the interview. Typical questions that they will ask is, why do you want to be a scribe? Or what does a scribe do? More questions like this can be found on Glassdoor, and I really recommend typing out and memorizing the answers to your questions. Your interview will probably be with the chief scribe of the hospital that you are working for. Personally, it took me a month to find a medical scribe job, so if you don't find any in the first couple of weeks, just keep applying really broadly. Okay, so I just arrived for my shift. I currently use a room that's not used to see patients. Typically, I try to come in 30 minutes early so I can pre-chart. Pre-charting is when I go through the patients that are scheduled to be seen today and pick out the pertinent information from their previous charts and labs and place it into the new chart that I'm going to write today. I can also see what each patient is here for, which is going to let me prepare a chart a different kind of way. For example, it would be a different chart for a follow-up versus a physical versus a televideo or telephone. This time is especially important since it allows me to fill in the items that can be filled in before the patient is here, so it's much easier to finish the chart after we are done seeing the patient. Now I'm off to see the first patient. As you can see, there is an apparatus that can roll that contains my computer, so I don't have to hold the computer and type at the same time. While I'm in the patient room, and keep in mind this footage is not in the patient room because I obviously cannot film in the patient room due to HIPAA violations, I'll be writing the history of present illness, or HPI. This is where I write down what the patient is saying, whether that be left ankle pain, UTI, fever, etc. I would say the hardest part about scribing at first is to write a decent API and getting used to the language of medicine. For example, shots would be called injections. It was especially tough to be able to catch everything, so I had to write down bullet points and then eventually turn them into full sentences, which I still do even now. While I'm doing the HPI, I'm also filling out the review of systems, which is taking down what symptoms the patient reports. Here's a picture of an example review of systems online. You essentially just click the boxes that match what the patient is saying. Eventually, the provider will go on to the physical exam. This is similar to the review of systems, except that this is when the doctor examines the patient, such as heart sounds, abdominal tenderness, impact of cerebrum, etc. Towards the end of the visit, the provider usually has a plan of action they want to take. I have to pay attention to that and take down the plan of action as well as each of the diagnoses that they make. For example, medication changes or referrals would go under the plan section. In the beginning, it honestly was pretty hard to juggle all these things at the same time, but with time, you just get used to it. I essentially just do this day in and day out, going back and forth between patients. Woohoo! And finally, it's the end of my day.
Hello, so I just finished scribing. Yeah, it was a pretty more relaxed day today. A lot more like musculoskeletal stuff, which is, apparently it's something that you see a lot in family medicine clinics. Kind of makes sense because, whenever you have something that's wrong with your body here or here or in your leg or whatever, you're gonna see MSK stuff. But overall, yeah, it was a pretty normal day. I mean, I didn't really stay that late, and yeah, I enjoyed it. All right, switch back into my regular wear. And so this was the day in the life of a scribe. If you like this video, please give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a comment, and I'll see you on the next one.